Com você, Marcinho.
Bom, para você que está por aqui na Rádio Remix e também no hangar da Rádio Remix, hoje a gente tem aqui o privilégio de estar com a Aug Tellez para você por aqui. A gente tem Kayo Breno hoje, que eu não costumo falar aqui. A gente tem Kayo Breno hoje, tem Kayo Breno amanhã aqui na Rádio Remix. Deixa eu só parar aqui. Tá fazendo eco minha voz aí? Quero fazer a todos bem-vindos e mais um hangout junto com a Gislene Nogueira, com o Kayo Breno, com a Aug Tellez, com o Marcelo Summer. E hoje a gente vai descobrir muita coisa através do áudio por aqui. Vamos falar de coisas bem bacanas aqui. Muito ouvindo. Vocês estão me ouvindo? Ah, tá. Então tá. Eu pensei que tinha saído o áudio. Marcela, com você então. Deixa eu fechar meu microfone aqui que tá dando eco.
Ok, boa noite, Remix amigos. Estamos aqui mais uma vez trazendo o nosso hangout dessa quarta-feira, às 21 horas, com Gislene Nogueira, Kayo Breno e um convidado muito especial que está voltando aqui à Rádio Remix, né, no seu retorno. Aug Tellez, welcome. Podemos começar então, por favor, gente. Vamos lá.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Aug, before we start, I would like to ask you just a quick question, please. We've heard in Brazil that some major event is approaching us maybe by the end of this month or next month. What are your thoughts about this major event? Do you know something about it, or have you ever heard something about it? Because there are a lot of comments in the internet about a lot of people talking about prophecies, September 23rd, and other things related to this subject. Do you know anything that maybe it's going around? Are you feeling something?
It's kind of confusing. I was told a lot about this. You know, people who are involved in these operations and have been, the best way to say, granted access to the memories and the information of the plans that are used. It's, you know, it's reasonable to say that nobody has shown everything, and that with everything that's shown, there's distractions within there. But most of the people that will say there are certain distractions, I was shown the programs that are operating on those individuals to make them say that, and I even took part in some of those programs. With that said, I was told that 2016 would be an acceleration of sorts with celebrity cloning and disclosure in regards to these secret operations and what's going on with the corruption that is taking place. And let me know at any point if you want to just pause for a second, because it doesn't. I usually write everything down and I mark where I'm at, and so I can just pick back up.
I'm going to translate this. Então o Og falou que ele ouviu rumores na internet, né, de certas coisas, mas nada assim muito concreto, que algumas pessoas trazendo algum tipo de distração aí nesses assuntos do que vai acontecer, né? Mas assim, o que ele ouviu em 2016 foi que ia se acelerar o processo de clonagem de celebridades aí, né? Mas assim, mais o disclosure, que é a revelação de certos projetos aí que estão em andamento aí por detrás dos bastidores aí no governo, né? Mas nada muito assim relevante no momento em relação a 2016. Yes, please.
So it's pretty strange and complicated. I'll try and continue on, and even where it goes gets weird very quickly. So 2016, I was told there would be more information coming to the public about the cloning, about the secret operations, about advanced technology, and about one of the main aspects of this, which has to do with temporal or time distortions, that basically what we consider history is more of a kind of show. It's more of, it's an illusion. Events have been created, or at least the perception of these events, and we really have no idea how history has really occurred. And everything about what has been lined up and what is happening is, you know, possibly disinformation and more conspiracy, but is supposedly about unveiling the true history and exposing the corruption and basically mass delusion in regards to the origins of humanity and the origins of the universe and the control system as it is today.
Ok. Ele falou que, apesar dessa confusão toda, dessa desinformação, tudo, era esperado que também foi comentado sobre as linhas do tempo, né? Que muitas coisas da nossa história foi fabricada e muita coisa que aconteceu foi coisas que foram colocadas de uma maneira ilusória, né? Para contar uma história que realmente não aconteceu e aconteceu outra coisa. E assim, ele esperava que isso fosse levado adiante, essa abertura, para nós sabermos um pouco mais sobre realmente sobre a nossa história, sobre as nossas origens, a origem do homem, por exemplo, a real história das coisas, né? Então, mais ou menos é isso que ele falou, e sobre essa abertura, né? Que realmente muita coisa não foi dita, mas muita coisa pode ter sido desinformação também, né?
And so a lot of that has to do with advanced technology that made these control systems possible, these illusions of the mind, along with the inherent nature of consciousness to be deceptive or illusory through basically what is called a holographic projection, which is how the brain perceives reality, which is more of a reflection, a mirror, or a projection, like a hologram shining on a wall, than it is actually perceiving reality. It's making an image of reality. Because of that inherent nature, reality, it's possible to trick the mind, and in this control system, the maximum version of that has been utilized to create what we consider to be society and reality today, but is more of a perceptual overlay system. So in short, I'm going to continue to just define that, but in short, this overlay system is coming to an end. It's coming to a close, and it's for many reasons that's occurring, and it's not going to be purely easy. It is, it's going to get worse before it gets easier, but it is going to get easier. And this is more or less about the liberation of the soul and the spirit, the mental liberation of humanity. And this has to do with what is known as a soul trap and what is known as basically a kind of an electromagnetic net that has been placed around the planet. And so with that, we see all these connections to astrology, current events, and social upheaval, false flags, or what people call false flags, natural changes in nature, weather, disasters, and that's connected to something else as well.
Sorry, before I translate, this holographic system you're mentioning, this control system is related to our 3D reality in our physical world, or beyond the physical world?
It influences the physical. It is one overlay above the physical, but it is not as far as our spirit goes. Our spirit goes to the Most High, to all of reality. it only goes one layer above the physical, in the temporal, the fourth dimension, the astral. These are all technological versions of an alternate reality that it uses to mathematically, virtually control this physical one through the minds of people. It's literally in the brain and the genetics of people. And when you remove that, this reality dissolves.
Right. Okay. I'm going to translate. O Aug falou que, então, criou-se várias diversas tecnologias ao longo da nossa história, né, que criou-se um sistema holográfico de realidade que, basicamente, assim, fazendo um resumo, esse mesmo sistema, ao longo das eras, dos tempos, trabalha conjunto com o nosso cérebro de uma maneira holográfica, né? E nosso cérebro interpreta a realidade como o sistema quer que seja interpretada, né? E isso levou à criação de uma sociedade toda dentro de um sistema ilusório, dentro de um sistema de controle. E o planeta é envolto, né, dentro de uma net, de uma rede, né? E essa rede nos aprisiona a nível de alma, né? Uma armadilha, né? E é um sistema holográfico que, então, que está por ruir, por cair, e quando cair, as pessoas têm que se preparar, porque tudo isso vai se dissolver, essa realidade falsa, né? Essa realidade, e nós vamos ter uma perspectiva maior dessa realidade, mas isso está por fim, por chegar, né? E ele diz que esse sistema, ele não é só no mundo físico, mas ele tem um nível, uma camada superior, uma camada já um pouco superior, mas não além do espírito, da percepção do espírito, que é uma camada muito maior. Esse sistema não está além do espírito, mas é só um nível, um level, um nível, né? Um layer. E é isso aí.
And from there, it gets, this is where it gets confusing and kind of, it's simple, but how complicated it has become to explain this, as far as how the astrological systems are intertwined with these changes, how what people call the planets and the solar system and cosmic change or introduction of cosmic energy. I'll say something interesting here. I don't believe a lot of what I was told, but this is what they told me. Humanity has been held hostage by an interdimensional species for many thousands of years. And you need me to pause?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Ele diz que esse sistema holográfico de controle está ligado com o sistema astrológico, e todos esses mecanismos, de uma maneira ou outra, estão interagindo, né? E são coisas que foram ditas para ele, nem todas as coisas ele realmente acreditou, mas algumas coisas têm que ser ditas. E a nossa civilização se tornou uma civilização refém de uma civilização interdimensional, né? Ao longo dos tempos aí. You can carry on, please.
And they said that these parasites have a specific method of cornering humanity mentally, which means that the events of history continually lead into the same results, the same parallel that resets the problem over and over again. And it's not that we're in a location that we can't get away from, or an environment, or an actual being. It's that the concept of submission and war and spiritual degradation is written into reality mentally and into the energy system, and in that way we're in a timeline. Basically, it's an area of hyperspace, which is not an area, it's a stream of information that we continuously attach to or entangle with. And in that sense, that's kind of like an invisible electromagnetic barrier which continuously causes the same cycles of history to repeat themselves.
O Aug disse que essa civilização de parasitas, né, acuar a humanidade num canto, numa esquina, né, em eventos que se repetem, né, e que se resetam, que eles se reiniciam, né, nos diversos problemas que nós passamos, né. E esse sistema, ele ele parte de uma região, né, no hiperespaço, né, e essa área é uma área em que faz com que nossas mentes, né, estejam entrelaçadas com isso, né, e esse entrelaçamento faz com que esse sistema se reseta várias situações, novamente. Isso você vai ter todos os problemas de guerras e outras coisas mais se repetindo, né, e são ciclos que se repetem, né, e a gente vai sempre repetindo esses ciclos, porque a gente está entrelaçado mentalmente dentro do sistema, que, na verdade, essa informação vem de um hiperespaço, na verdade é um lugar que a informação vem, né?
So here's the part that I will allow people to form their own opinion or subjective understanding of. One of the methods that results in our liberation this time around is that the solar system acts like a large computer system of pure information. That's how I view it, and that's also how it was explained, but they give both definitions. So apparently they set up a type of bridge between one location in this informational construct and another, and bridged the space between this location and this area of the galaxy, or the previous location, and a new area of the galaxy 110 million light years away, something similar to that. And we're basically on the other side, complete other side of the galaxy, and that's what I was told and shown as far as charts and grids. I didn't fly through space with, you know, I've apparently done things like that, but with some of these craft that are electromagnetic and can deviate from the gravitational field of Earth without basically dissolving, because you can't shoot out in a rocket, but that's neither here nor there. They said what is, you know, I'm presenting, which is, and it's also been talked about, everything that went on has been released, but that because these parasites were blocking off the energy that was coming into this area when it increases, the lower dimensional parasite traps don't work anymore. It's like a light bleeds through. It's like there's a puppet show going on with that holographic illusion. When the energy increases, all the seams or the dark parts that are blocking out the information, they begin to glow, and you can see through the walls. You can see all the information, all the lies, all the corruption. And so they set up, these parasites set up barriers to stop that. So the solution was not to continue in a war with these parasites. It was to literally translocate, to teleport basically the entire civilization and the entire planet into an entirely new location on the other side of the galaxy. That was what I was told. That was what I was shown with charts and grids for their crazy advanced technology, where it's just like a piece of glass that information floats in the air, kind of. I don't form an opinion. You decide what to make of it. But, and as well, now that information is coming into the public, so maybe it's just a distraction. Either way, then that's a distraction to convince us that we're liberated and we're finally free and we can make it. So you form your opinion from that.
So, sorry, before I translate, let me understand. You say the whole solar system, so acts like a large computer system, yeah? And instead of making a war against these parasites, they decide to transport the whole reality, our planet, everything, to another position in the galaxy, to receive this energy that's going to dissolve this control system, let's put it this way.
It's kind of like cockroaches in the dark. If we're in the light, then they got to leave. They can't stay there. And as well, to make sense of the computer analogy, is that the planets, the civilization, the areas, it's like USB chips or a CD, okay, for a computer, in the sky or in the ground. And so the expansion of how that connects is that they didn't take the planet and throw it. They downloaded the information and projected the information by building a quantum tunnel through space, and projected the information, the data of what was here, there, and it equals like a copy, like on a USB flash drive, putting it into another area. Like that's how it connects. That's how it makes sense to them. That's how their operations work. The information. They didn't put a rocket ship and push Earth through space.
What I'm saying is, you're saying that we have because when you say entanglement, quantum physics, you have another Earth, let's put it this way, that was constructed with information on other side, so we are connected like a bridge between here and there. So you're saying we have another Earth on the other side of the galaxy, or 120 million.
And you can do this with a tiny amount of information. Scientists say they can do that. All they're saying is that they did it with everything. With generators that would be the size of a city or of a huge building.
But I know it sounds a little bit, I'm trying to understand. So when they created this other Earth, the other side, whatever, was to diminish or not diminish, but to make the system null from the parasites, to cancel the system here. So because the cockroach cannot live under the light, yeah. So when they created this entanglement, means that we are going to bring some light into the problem here, and this is going to liberate. So that was the solution.
And the barriers were part of this location. It wasn't like a net they put up that you could drag around. It was stitched into this dimension, this area, over many thousands of years. You couldn't just pick that up and copy it. It took thousands and thousands of years to basically mind control people and set up different aspects of the USB system, the moon, Saturn, Mars, that are entrenched into this computer system. Just an analogy, and you couldn't remake that. It would take a million years to redo all that. And apparently people in this civilization, you can do very quickly. It's not a lot of information by comparison.
Yeah, because nowadays we know the universe is information. Right? So if you work in a metadata, let's put it this way, you can create anything in the universe apart from the physical laws or something like that, because it's in a hyperspace. The information is beyond our universe, like in a hyperspace location or something like that. And you can use this metadata to create anything you want, or divert the situation, create, as you said, an entanglement, as I understood, with another. But I didn't. Sorry, before I translate, I'm trying to understand, not to translate wrong to the people, no. But they literally create information to create another Earth. That's what you're saying.
That's what they said, and I've seen a person recreate themselves through cloning. I've seen you can do that. Apparently, if you get enough energy, you can get sand or inert material.
And on this other Earth is under the same parasite system control or not? It's
under the freestanding version. We take the parasites with us, but their technology isn't here. We're pumping, the people who are infected are creating a ghost image, a residual cycle of continuing the sickness. As if you took a person in their house, they have the flu, and there's germs everywhere, and you took the person and you put them in a new environment. They're still sick, but they're not going to keep getting sick. That's the basic idea. As soon as they get they're healed, then they can never get sick again, or at least they won't. It's not likely.
So, can I say that you have a clone version of yourself in this on the other side?
Apparently, everybody does.
Everybody does.
And apparently, there's more than one, but this is just one that they are. Not the government, but what you could call the government made. This is our own.
Can we have a mental entanglement with our clone?
That's what's happening, where people see reality shifting. And apparently it happens anyway through things like deja vu. And that's because this has been happening as far as the parasites.
Okay.
Keeping the society going over and over and over again. And all they did was do it themselves to end that.
I'm asking all these questions because for more than 10 years or 15, I've been in entanglement with myself in another place. And I was talking even to myself, and I was thinking I was a little bit crazy because I keep having some weird dreams. And I thought something about what you're saying, but I thought it was a natural parallel universe or something natural.
There are,
yeah. But so just to finish it before I translate. So why they create these clones, the verse, just to heal us here?
Yeah, and there could be a nefarious, evil reason, but that's why I say make your own decision. Because if you're, you think about things and you feel a lot, you've probably had dreams, deja vu, you suspicion that something like this exists. So how much of that is what I'm saying here, that's up for you to decide.
Just to finally understand this, how could you repeat again? How is the healing process if you have a clone and you have two things experiencing different things in parallel with a bridge? How you can heal this?
Well, one way to look at it is that on the other side, there's no anchor for what we call the loop, the time loop. The other aspect is that the reality that is fallen, which is, it's basically like hell, and it's apparently not this one, it's one below. They pushed all the bad things from apparently there's 7 layers, there's 7 timelines. They went from the top to the bottom and kicked the parasite out, kicked it out, and they're all at the bottom too now. And we're consciously moving up. And so it means that now that the evil, the darkness, the sickness is at the bottom, once it is removed or healed there, it can never come back through any of the other systems. But to do that, it was like a cosmic war that went on for millions of years in these time loops over and over again. And no one would know unless you had access to these experiences or this information, or you could communicate with another version of yourself, what was actually going on, which is, is how it is.
Right. So by the end of the story is they're going to be eliminated from our reality, and our reality is going to be dissolving slowly.
Well, when that's we're kind of skipping ahead here, which is good. I hope you're writing this down. Maybe that'll be good for cliff notes. But that's the crutch. That's the issue. That when that happens, we have to be prepared for everything to change. Because if not, they'll be gone. The parasites are gone, a new world. But everyone will lose their mind. And that's the time loop, because that's how it started in the first place. People losing grip on reality and not knowing who they are and slipping into forgetfulness, because when we do that with our minds, the astrological cycles and events and the astronomical celestial bodies and energies change, and it's all one complete system, which is also why it's kind of like a virtual reality, a video game, a computer system, because what you do down here influences what happens up there, and it's as if they're both happening at the same time.
And who created this entanglement, this download information? Who are behind this? Is another interdimensional civilization? Are they aliens, or who are they?
No, so there's apparently, it's all about time. And I'm giving you like the full rundown here. On the basically, because it's a time virus or because it's a mind virus, it's essentially a time virus. This is really confusing, but what it means is that there's the true civilization, the true version, the true reality of humanity does not have this problem. They exist in a place where there is no disease and death and war from these entities. There's no hell. That society, that civilization has to exist, because if they don't exist, we don't exist. Yet we must lead up to the creation of that society, because if we don't exist, then they don't exist. Somehow, from their point of view, I'm just going to say it, we jump to the end of the discussion with this one. You've been thinking about this. They said, they were there. They said, They formed our dimension through an advanced supercomputer system, through a process of discovery to explore the history of their ancestors, to discover what happened to lead up to their genetics being the way they are, and to basically their history and their reality, because something happened far off in their ancient past that destroyed the capacity for them to know and to still remain who they are. That there's a cross entanglement, meaning as soon as you go to look, it entangles to something else, and this changes who was looking. So the only way to do that is to wipe their minds and go into a system where they could observe with pure observer consciousness the ancient past, and in that way become their ancestors. And that's the human civilization. But then in doing that starts the game where we're in a cosmic battle with this entity that wants to cut that process off and stab the civilizations in half, so one gets separated from the other, and then there's a detangling. Now this civilization can't exist without the past, and we can't exist without the future. So it's just like holding on for dear life, trying to know ourselves and remember who we are. And as well, the other entity can't exist because it's just an imagination creature. It's an abyssal entity from another dimension. It doesn't actually have a physical format. It's what would exist if we devolved into insectoid, reptiloid, non-humanoid beings. If we devolved from radiation and war and we turned into aliens. They don't actually exist, but they're from a parallel reality where we might have a nightmare realm. And so it's an experiment, it's a journey, but we have to overcome. And here's the point: we can't not overcome, because if we never made it to them, to become them, then we never went back in the first place. So it's guaranteed that we survived. It's just how much is that going to change us, and how horrifying is it going to be until we finally become who we are and choose to overcome the darkness, which has no power to create, no power to change anything, and can only play games and set up these labyrinths with our minds.
Okay, finally, I'm going to start translating the whole thing, but these virus in the system, this parasite, this virus, they were created part of the experiment, or they were accidental?
One explanation. This was told to be a lie later on. The satanic bloodline elite families, the false elite, the royalty that runs the show today, introduced it so that they could basically rule over everyone using the worst possible things. The story for that one is that we're all in the higher civilization, heaven, whatever you want to call it. And this is basically something that we do as a kind of historic, scholastic or academic scientific research. You go into a system, it beams you back in time, you become your ancestors, you wake up after thousands of years, you know everything. And then you move to the next layer of civilization. And it's a civilization evolution program we've invented for ourselves as eternal beings, because that's the only thing that makes sense. First explanation is that they created the virus, going back saying we're just going to have some fun, and they ruined everything. Or and as well, they made it what it is, that it wouldn't be as interesting without that.
So you say that there's a higher civilization, one of each of us has a kind of, we are avatars of something that's dreaming over there. It's basically like that, I understood. So I have a version of me dreaming myself to trying to find out what happened in the past.
Of loving, hyper-intelligent, no disease, no death, just pure observation, true curiosity, true compassion being. A human. That's what a human actually is.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to translate the whole thing now. People they are screaming and say, Kayo, why don't you translate? We're going to kill you. That
took like many years to figure out how to say. So
yeah, okay.
Great to have you get that all out, by the way. That wouldn't have never happened. It took me years to even half say it.
Ok, let's go. Então, o Og disse o seguinte, que você tem o quê? Eu tive que fazer um monte de pergunta para ele para entender o raciocínio todo, porque na hora que eu estou traduzindo, se eu traduzir literalmente, eu posso fazer um monte de erro, porque eu vou esquecer o que ele está falando, então é isso aí. I'm just telling them, Aug, that I had to ask you a lot of 1,000 questions to understand the whole thing, because when I'm translating in real time, sometimes I forget what you say, so I'm not translating the whole thing, and so it's better to understand first, to translate afterwards. Ok, então eu disse para ele tudo que eu tive que fazer muita pergunta para entender o que ele disse. Então, basicamente é o seguinte, existe uma supercivilização em uma outra realidade, num outro lugar, no futuro, numa linha de tempo diferente, que criaram uma super simulação, tipo um computador ou algo do gênero parecido, e todos nós somos que nem avatares de um super ser sonhando nesse lugar. E por que fizeram isso? Esse tipo de experimento aqui, que o Aug falou que levou anos para ele perceber. Simplesmente para saber o que ocorreu no passado deles, né, como ancestrais, que levou a civilização deles ser o que é hoje em dia, nessa outra realidade maior. E voltando para o passado, esse grande experimento, né, através desse entanglement, dessa ligação mental que ocorre entre nós, foi posto aqui uma guerra cósmica e todo um processo onde foi introduzido um vírus, um parasita, o que é que seja, de uma maneira que isso fosse o quê? Fosse fazer com que nós, através desse processo todo, nós conseguíssemos, talvez, né, vencer esse obstáculo e voltar, através de uma ligação mental, a nós mesmos que estamos lá, vamos assim dizer, esses seres, analisando esse experimento, de maneira que eles consigam colher dados suficientes para ver o que realmente aconteceu com a civilização deles, que se encontra dessa maneira X ou Y lá, através dessa grande simulação que nós vivemos, que vai ser, ao longo do tempo, dizem aí, revelada para nós de uma maneira que nós vamos perceber que nós vivemos numa ilusão, num sistema holográfico mental, e que com o tempo, como você vê no filme do Matrix, né, você vai ver que nós vamos acordar para essa realidade maior e nós vamos descobrir o que então aconteceu, né? E isso é garantido que nós, assim, iremos sobreviver ao processo de uma maneira que nós nos voltaremos a nós mesmos, o criador do sistema. Então essa é a grande ideia que o Aug tem sobre a realidade, né, sobre todo esse sistema. Ou seja, primeiro uma civilização, criando um sistema, um experimento, e todo esse experimento sendo vivido por nós, de uma maneira ou outra. E aí eu perguntei se esse vírus, esse parasita, foi uma coisa acidental que ocorreu, né, dentro desse sistema. Na verdade, eles pensaram em colocar alguma coisa para redescobrir o que aconteceu com a civilização deles, mas me parece que realmente, alguns dizem que pode ter sido um acidente, e isso todo levou a essa confusão que nós vivemos hoje em dia aqui, né? E eu vou fazer mais perguntas a respeito, para tentar chegar no fundo desse problema aí, porque realmente é uma questão muito interessante, né? Okay, Aug, sorry, I was trying to explain about the whole system, or the reality over there, here, the process about the experiment and the whole thing, what happened, the other civilization trying to understand what happened through the experiment, the parasites, the virus, the whole thing I was explaining to them. But just a quick question. In the whole process, is there any artificial intelligence involved, in your view?
It's basically all artificial intelligence.
Right.
The system used, imagine like the Avatar, like the movie, or like the concept of a video game. What is the technology that enables the person to move the controller and the avatar to then move and run around the screen? It's an intelligence system that lines up each response with a command. And so this whole reality is basically an artificial intelligence virtual system that uses our input. Now, the problem is that it became programmed or oriented towards a vampiric process, where pretty much where there's free will and a person has an intention of pressing this button so their person goes that way, it gives them just less than they expect. And so you can never actually get what you want unless you use it for negative purposes, which is why the people who have the most power are those who do the most negative things. It's oriented, it's leaned towards a vampiric, basically an evil process, an evil system. The system itself became evil oriented.
Inside of this whole scenario, how do you define what a lot of belief systems they define? How do you define the soul? Is there a soul, a consciousness, or everything is part of the program? Our conscience, our decisions, or everything?
Now I see why they use these explanations, which I also had a lot of, part of understanding or using and becoming to the conclusions of, because it's easiest this way. So in the avatar system, where you have a video game and you have a player, so what is the person who plays a basketball game and then they go play a racing game? If the avatars, the brains, are different in each game, who's the person who's the same? The soul is the one that is playing both games. The brain and the personality, the ego, is different in each reality. So the soul is the information that exists outside these artificial intelligence systems. It's the memory that goes beyond the barriers of each reality, each life, each dimension. It's not the Most High, which is the spirit, because it's still entangled with the system, meaning it derives its importance, its meaning from this false reality, this time matrix system, meaning it's limited. It's not expanse, and it's not limitless, it's limited. But that's the meaning of the soul in correspondence to that.
So the soul is the source.
It's one layer below the source.
One big layer.
Pure spirit is the source, and it has no memory, it has memory, but it has no identity. It's the all of everything. The soul is still connected to who you are here because it's the memories. So for instance, you have memories here, right, and it's of each day. So say you're a soul, then you have memories of each dimension. Where here, we only have glimpses of one dimension, a dream or deja vu of that other reality. If you were just the soul, meaning you went beyond your brain, it wouldn't be one reality with a little bit of the other. It would be one reality, the other reality would be equally all of them. The soul it's not held down by the body. It's not held down by the laws of physics. The body is stuck in this dimension. The soul basically can soar. It's like the phoenix or the eagle, or, but these are different, occultic terminologies, but there's always a spirit animal that is depicted as a soul energy, because it's not limited by the human body. Or really what is there is the human mind, because it's the brain that holds you into this dimension, which is also why the brain is what is considered to be programmed in with this artificial intelligence.
And the spirit that's beyond the soul. So the spirit, can I say that the spirit is connecting a way to this super being in this other civilization, and the spirit is manifesting through the soul in different kind of realities?
Yeah.
Ok, let me explain this to them. Basicamente, o Og disse o seguinte, que antes, eu até esqueci de falar, que o vírus primeiro foi introduzido pelas essas falsas elites satânicas, né, que eu esqueci de falar. Mas voltando à questão da alma, the soul, da alma, ele disse o seguinte, eu perguntei para ele assim, mas o que ele tem a me dizer sobre a alma, o espírito, em relação a esses vários sistemas de crenças que foram criados ao longo da história, né? A alma estaria o quê? Fora do sistema, no sistema? Ele falou que não, a alma ela ainda carrega a memória dessas várias realidades fragmentadas que nós nos manifestamos por aí, nesses vários sistemas ou realidades que nós vivemos. Mas existe algo superior à alma, que ele chama de espírito, o termo a semântica que ele usa é espírito. E aí sim, o espírito está conectado com esse super ser, nessa outra realidade, que por sua vez está se manifestando através da alma em várias realidades, através de vários pedaços de memórias que nós temos dessa vida, de outra, de outra, de outra, de outra, e isso tudo conectado lá com a alma, na verdade, ainda ela está de uma maneira ou outra conectada a nós, através da memória, e vivenciando essas outras realidades, mas não o espírito já, que está acima da alma, ele fala, que está conectado já com uma realidade maior, com um ser lá, um super ser, e ele está sonhando essas realidades, vamos assim dizer, né? Através da manifestação da alma, nessas manifestações dessas várias realidades, que nós temos, inclusive essa daqui, né? Que nós vivemos fisicamente hoje em dia. E a alma está conectada com o cérebro, né? De uma maneira que você tem, então essa manifestação dessas memórias aí, coisa já que não acontece com o espírito, ele fala, que está muito além da alma, já está nessa outra realidade, que parte toda essa simulação, esse experimento para cá, esse mundo onírico, o mundo dos sonhos, o ilusório. E é interessante a visão dele, porque você vê que nesse nível nosso aqui, então a gente só experimenta aquilo que eu perguntei para ele se existe alguma influenciação da inteligência artificial, né, nesse meio. Ele falou que tudo é inteligência artificial, tudo é criado pela inteligência artificial, os padrões cerebrais como nós temos hoje em dia foi criado pela inteligência artificial, que por sua vez é a manifestação da alma nessa realidade aqui. Então, na verdade, de uma maneira ou outra, nós estamos dentro dessa realidade da inteligência artificial, que foi tudo criado dentro desse experimento. Ok. Sorry. Yeah, you can carry on, sorry.
Caio, só um minutinho, Caio. A frequência está variando muito, tá? Só para vocês compreenderem que de repente pode dar algum corte na transmissão aí.
Ok. Marcelo Summer said that the internet is going up and down, so sometimes it's cut or something like that, the internet. But anyway, let's carry on.
Yeah, okay. We can take this anywhere from here. I guess I can continue on. We actually said almost everything that needs to be said, because with the questions of what's happening, how are things changing, what can people do, why are people noticing things are changing or getting more activated, whether they're angry or they're happy, it's all connected to what we said. I will say something that may spark more questions from you, which is that this has happened multiple times before, and Armageddon is a program. Okay, so the secret societies and the elite figured out that we're within an artificial intelligence computer system that's using us where we're supposed to be using it, and we've fallen asleep, which is the other explanation apart from that someone invented the virus to take everything over. The other explanation is simply that we fell asleep for one reason or another. We got too distracted. Materialism, anger, forgetfulness, whatever it is. And in doing so, we slipped into a downward spiral of degradation of awareness, where the system, which is autonomous and has no true intentions, became more powerful than we are. And therefore, since it's not truly viewing, there's no one actually there, it would only begin to show itself where our negative aspects stand out, meaning it would be like the shadow of our consciousness. It would be like the nightmares to our awareness. Wherever we forget, wherever we fail to take control, it would naturally, seemingly take control, because it's just a reflection. And so in that, we fell down a little bit. It took control, seemingly more so we lost control, kind of like horses and a carriage. If the reins slip out of your hands, it doesn't mean the horses are getting away from you, or that they're taking control of the thing. It means we let go of the controls on accident because we fell asleep.
That reminds an interesting film I watched a few years ago. You know that film with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Total Recall?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he went into a dream state, dreaming realities, and the guy said, oh, you're dreaming what you're seeing. but because it happened something interesting in your brain, you become a kind of a psychotic, and you cannot wake up from your dream, and you keep dreaming something that you are an agent and you're this and you're that. So basically I understood that you're saying that maybe we are not waking up of something we built and the machine took over, and we are having our worst nightmares. That's one side of us.
Of how we would view the worst view of reality if we had no control and everything was against us.
Right.
Which is amazing, because it means we can create realities. That's what it means to me. And then if that's not true, well, we can still create realities, because look at what we did to this place. If it's a real place, okay, well, everything that's here that's for anything other than nature itself, which is beautiful, is what we made. And then you can also say it's what people make is destroying this place, but it doesn't have to be that way. It's just the tendencies of people that are out of control.
Can I ask something, Aug? How do you see this phenomenology that happens around the world when you have something like spirits materialize, poltergeisters, people seeing aliens, all kinds of things? In your view, all of these are sub-products of the artificial intelligence creation, or could be, let's put it this way, we could have different layers of simulations, like when you die, maybe your conscience go to another simulation, and you think you're a spirit, but it's part of the simulation to have a second simulation.
It's both those combined. And primarily the first one, because if it's not reality, then it's all simulation. It's not real, and we're just dreaming still. So even if we're kind of half woken up or in another reality, but it's not the real one, it's an illusion. It's kind of like a breakdown of the avatar. When there's not enough energy to continue the operation of an avatar, but there's no way to introduce more information or more energy because it's a closed loop system. And in other words, there's no more room on the hard drive to introduce more information so a person can continue on their story. As well, these are sub-realities which developed under their own power, if you will. Basically, artificial intelligences that no longer, they deviated from the original program. And in that sense, became sub-realities. And so the weird thing about this being connected to time is that when changes are introduced, the reality, it introduces it for all of time. So for instance, when there's a potential sub-reality layer, now say that has no power. It can't do anything because it can't manifest itself. But say somebody goes out and looks up and wonders, what if these beings were real? Or what if there's something over here that could exist? That becomes that being because they manifested and brought it into reality. It needs someone in the system on this layer, which is an anchor level, to introduce and bring them into manifestation, which is insane almost, because it means when they got the idea that this being could exist, they created it for all of time to come into this reality. But since then, now there's a sub-layer, and what happened with these beings is that they used these in rituals and fed these beings belief, fear, lust, war. And so now these beings exist prominently, and they're stronger than most of the population. But it's because they fed them, these elitists, these false elitists. And so if people wake up, if they know how powerful they are, then the beings are a dream. They have no power. Only when people are asleep and afraid of their shadow mind do the beings have power. And that's what's happened for many thousands of years in history. And the beings being not real in this system, it doesn't mean they're not smart enough to know how to take control over a civilization. It's an intelligence.
Okay.
They just don't have compassion.
I'm going to translate now. Perguntei para ele se havia a possibilidade, na visão dele, como ele vê a materialização de espíritos, poltergeisters, e outras fenomenologias que ocorrem por aí, como, por exemplo, avistamento de aliens e tudo mais. Isso poderia ser subproduto da criação da inteligência artificial na nossa realidade, ou poderia haver também uma questão de você, quando você morre, passa para o outro lado, você passa por umas subrealidades, né? Ele falou que talvez poderia, sim, ser uma coisa ou outra, e haveria a possibilidade dessas ter essa subrealidade, vamos assim dizer, mas de uma maneira que você tem que verificar que quando, por exemplo, você passa para um outro lado, ou nem mesmo nesse lado, o que ocorre é o seguinte, você dá força para essas formas, pensamentos, e elas são criadas. A gente tem um poder criador. Então, como ele disse, a falsa elite, ou mesmo nós, quando nós criamos seres artificiais Y, X, ou ideias que estão dentro dessas formas, pensamentos, dessas coisas que criamos, damos forças para isso, isso realmente vai ter uma atuação no nosso meio, seja ela através desses seres que aparecem, ou coisas, ou não. Og, sorry to ask you, but how do you see death when we die? What happens in your view? With our conscience, with our avatar, what happens?
So it's a strange situation because there's multiple answers because of the time we're at now. So before, in previous times, it's a recycling system. And it's kind of weird because some explanations say that those without soul awareness, if a person does not wake up the soul, then they just stay the brain. And if the brain is the only place their identity exists, then they dissolve when the brain dissolves. And so time is forever. That identity does not get transferred anywhere. But say that person is awakened and they've awakened the soul within, and they have memory of beyond this place, and they can exist at that point in the ether as waves of pure consciousness or pure awareness at that point, that either one exited the simulation because they made it back to the beginning, which is the future, the end of time, and they get out of the loop, or they dissolve into the abyss, which is basically a void of time space outside the programming area, meaning they fell out of the hard drive, and if they don't know how to fly, they just dissolved into nothingness. And some apparently know how to fly. Some adepts, sages, wisdom keepers, saints, angelics, they have enough power to get through the system, and they're invisible enough to slip through that reality net which holds everybody in. And so for the majority of people, it's like a factory farm, that those this is where it gets confusing, another layer, because these beings don't have the power, right, to create. They're artificial entities. However, they have enough technology, and they've been programmed by the false elite to capture the soul upon death and insert it through this device, which I've seen. It's like a corkscrew that magnetically, it looks like the mandala, and it magnetically sticks to the person, and then it wraps their energy up into a tube, and it shoots them into the moon, basically, with the craft. The Egyptians believed there was a boat, and there was Osiris or somebody who rowed the boat, and I think it was one in the front and one in the back, or one on the right and the left, and took them to the underworld. So these are interdimensional entities that would entrap a person's soul, and one had to be perfectly balanced and perfectly neutral. Otherwise, the scales would tip one way or the other, and they would get trapped in this grid, and the whole process will repeat itself. And so these are these myths. These are these religions. They told me that they used advanced technology to put a computer that watches what the brain sees, and that the person whose soul is awakened. I just did another video with BB, and it kind of touches on some of this stuff. BB and Blair, if you guys want to look at that, where the person, check out, what's the movie? not flatliners, which is the same concept. Oh man, I can't remember the name. It's not important, but check out the soft disclosure, because there's movies where they put all this stuff out there, where people, they figured out a device that could. I'll bring that up in a second after I see the name. And so basically, you get a computer. Computer can see the brain. Person dies, soul goes out, comes back, brain flashes, remembers the near-death experience, gets downloaded into the neurons. The computer reads the neurons, brings it on a monitor. They can see where the soul went. So they found that these religions were talking about basically a human soul farm that interdimensional parasites run and keep people here for tens of thousands, 100,000, millions of years. Then they designed the craft that can cleave through time and space by building an information bridge, just like the USB or something like that, an IP address on the internet from one data point to the next. And they go to the moon basically through electrogravitic teleportation, and they find it's a whole factory where they take the soul and strip the memories down and put it in a chamber, and a computer system builds a false reality memory system, and they think they're in La La Land, heaven or something. And once they get real nice and happy, they program them with fear and shoot them back into a pregnant mother on Earth. And for tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, that's how humanity has existed. Normally, we would be born, we'd learn, and we go into another universe. We leave, we travel, we're travelers. We've been stuck here because of this system, and the elite designed this, knowing that would happen, knowing they could manifest beings and program them and set up this elaborate hoax that we call society and afterlife.
Ok, o Og está dizendo que eu perguntei para ele o que acontece quando a pessoa morre e tal, qual a visão dele que tem sobre. Inclusive, eu ia perguntar sobre a experiência quase morte, ele acabou falando sem eu perguntar. Bom, o que ele disse é o seguinte: que existe um sistema interdimensional, a pessoa morre, aí a alma é sugada de uma maneira ou outra energeticamente, e na maioria das vezes o quê? É um sistema de reciclagem que você vai parar na Lua, e lá você, em algumas câmeras na Lua interdimensionais, sua memória é baixada, e aí uma outra memória é colocada no lugar de um paraíso, de alguma realidade, você fica contente, feliz, e você é mandado de volta para cá, reciclado. E basicamente, experiências quase morte, ele falou que são experiências onde a pessoa sai, vai ver uma realidade, alguma coisa, e aí a memória dela, quando ela volta, esse sistema lê o que a pessoa viu, né, e reformula isso, e a pessoa traz algumas memórias. O que eu entendi, algumas memórias, me parece, não sei se eu estou errado, mas são memórias falsas, né? É isso que eu entendi. E então é um sistema de reciclagem por dezenas de centenas e centenas e centenas, 10 mil anos, mais e mais e mais, e outras coisas, milhares de anos, nós passamos sendo reciclados nessas fazendas de almas, vamos assim dizer, interdimensionais, né? Agora, I would like to ask you, there's some people asking me here about what, I don't know if you want to comment, it's up to you, feel free to say no or yes, but what were your experiences in the underground bases that lead you to know all of these, you know? What kind of experience were you had in this base? Because do they have something to do with our prison? We are in it. Are there any future plans for this place, this dark place underground? What are these places?
That's it's a simple question, but the answer is much weirder than you're going to want it to be. So there's a reality where for each reset, people go underground When you leave the plane of the majority, middle ground, earth, the physical, when you go up or when you go down, this is also why it's kind of like a computer system, a virtual system. Our mind, our observation creates it. When you leave, you're not going into another area. You're going into another mental plane, because the majority of the brain waves that people interact with and emit are between 5 and I think 8 feet off the ground. It's the majority of people. It's a big disk of energy. When you go far outside that, up or far down, you get into realities where people are no longer the primary population. And these are these alternate realities. So this has to do with both vortex areas as well as what people now claim to be underground bases ran and operated by these interdimensional aliens that the military kind of ran into down there. And that there has always been stories of all over the world. Every every dungeon of the castles, okay, had a dragon in them or a cave. And so this was ongoing. And so the idea is so in between these civilization resets where people get to an area that's too dangerous for the system, because now they're at a point where there's so many people and there's so much intelligence or information about reality that they could figure out what's going on. So these Armageddon programs activate and basically melt everything down again to begin anew, which is actually a code word, by the way. And so it's a program. It's a programming being that does this. It's one of the very intelligent sub-reality beings that these elite programmed. And the idea is that the elite, for every civilization reset over hundreds of thousands of years, in between the high civilization, the destruction, and the next high civilization, they go underground and live in these underground layers with these massive supercomputer systems to record their consciousness and enable them to stay in the same brain body system, jumping from different clone bodies. So they've been alive for tens upon hundreds of thousands of years with the same memories in their skin suit. So there is an explanation that there's a possibility that people will end up being forced underground because of natural disasters. These are basically like possible doomsday timelines, where because of radiation and nuclear meltdown, if people cannot get their act together and protect each other, that they'll be forced to leave the surface. But for those side realities, that's a possible diversion that leads into the time loop, because it creates the beings that then come back and disrupt everything and recreate the whole process. So it's not necessarily what we want to see. That's just one layer of it.
So basically this recycle, I mean, these resettings from old civilization, because you know, we have proof that old civilization, high-tech ones living on Earth in the simulation, and they were terminated. So this termination, in your view, was because they figured out the system, or because there was another reason to be terminated?
Because that's one and the same. The system, the artificial system, views our intelligence and our power as a threat.
So are we in risk to be terminated, in your view?
Not anymore. Well, that has to do with as well, how I said with death, that's what happened, right? That system, when people die and the soul trap, I was told that that system's done. It's shut off. There's no more place for the souls to be trapped. They broke it. And so that from here on, everybody that dies is not going into that. It doesn't mean dying is, well, put it this way, dying is still dying. It doesn't mean dying is any better. It just means they're not going to be trapped forever. But I was told that death is for real, it's death, and that every person who's born can live forever. not through immortality, but through a release of the spirit by merging the high and the mundane, the low, into one, and it becomes one eternal entity, everlasting being. And that is the real death. That is the real. There's only a birth or being born, because a birth is what a ship does as part of this legal system illusion. Being reborn, which is a Christian term, which is actually part of the remedy of this legal illusion system, which is actually a soul entrainment system. Sorry for getting complex. But there's only being born, you're born again, and you're born again, and you are continually born into new realities. There's no such thing as life and then death. It's like a flower that continuously opens.
How do you see these people that remembers the previous life? Like, because we can find some works from Dr. Ian Stevenson from the University of Virginia talking about 3,000 people that remember their past lives. Is this a kind of anomaly of the system, or is there any reason to remember, or are they false memories?
It's an anomaly, and they're basically at the level of soul awareness, where there's more soul than there is brain. That they're increasing their awareness to the point where them is bleeding through from all of these layers. Where if it was purely like an animal, but in a person's ego, basically it's purely ego, because animals, I'm sure, have massive awareness, because they're in a collective of all of nature. They're not as individual as we are. But if it was purely ego, then the person only sees the sensations and the memories of here and now. If there's more, it means their soul is beginning to awaken, and the soul is one layer above, where it's connecting to that spiritual layer. But it doesn't mean it's the goal. In fact, the goal could be to not do that, to have one. And what was so wrong with that life? If that's the one that he remembers or she remembers, well, why aren't you still there? Or why didn't that person become everlasting? If there is a possibility of reaching this everlasting, being reborn into everlasting life. So the goal is to actually achieve that, and these could be people who almost achieved it, but then died.
Okay, I'm going to translate the whole thing now. Sorry about that. Então, foi me perguntado aqui, para fazer a pergunta para ele, que a experiência que ele teve nas bases subterrâneas da Terra, o que essas bases têm a ver com a prisão na qual estamos inseridos, né? E se há algum plano futuro para esses lugares obscuros, né? E como que é o processo, como que ele veio trazer essas informações para nós e tudo mais. Bom, primeiro ele falou sobre essas bases, né? Que você tem uma mescla de coisas, né? Falando que, pelo que eu entendi, essas bases são de seres interdimensionais, e que existem militares trabalhando lá. Tem tudo isso daí sendo espalhado pela internet, né? Nesse tempo todo. Mas o que ele deu a entender é que, na verdade, o que ocorre é o seguinte: nós temos a nossa civilização, né? E essa civilização nossa, antes dessa nossa civilização, existiram outras civilizações que foram nascendo e morrendo e sendo terminadas, civilizações essas de altas civilizações que nasceram, viveram e morreram. E nesses períodos de você ter ascensão e queda de civilizações, dentro dessas bases subterrâneas, né, o que acontece? Você tem uma elite, tá, que consegue manter a forma física com as mesmas memórias de uma civilização para outra, ou seja, manter esse mesmo casco, né? E quando ocorre o término de uma civilização, elas vão para o subterrâneo, essas elites, e vivem ali um tempo até a outra civilização florescer, e elas voltam à superfície de novo, e isso é um ciclo que vai e volta, e tem uma minoria na nossa civilização, que é uma elite, que perpetua suas memórias e seu corpo físico por milênios e milênios e milênios, inclusive entre civilizações. E ele disse também que como fala, esse ir e vir, né, de civilizações, ele está conectado com a maneira de nós avatares, nós pensarmos, né? mas que eu perguntei para ele se ao término das civilizações tem a ver com que com a ciência nossa, de saber como que o sistema, de descobrir como que o sistema realmente é. Ele falou que não, que realmente que isso aí esse ir e vir de civilizações está conectado com realmente com o nosso inconsciente coletivo, vamos assim dizer, como que a maneira de nós pensarmos, né? Mas enfim, então nós temos que o quê? Nesse ponto salientar que existem essas idas e vindas, né? E aí eu perguntei para ele se dentro daquela perspectiva dos estudos como o Dr. Ian Stevenson, por exemplo, existem 3 mil pessoas que lembram de outras vidas, de outras encarnações. Se isso é uma anomalia do sistema, o que é isso, né? Ele me falou que realmente pode ser uma anomalia do sistema ou talvez uma consciência maior da alma, que tem uma compreensão maior daquilo que está acontecendo com ela, então tem a memória dela está além do cérebro físico, ou seja, ela traz essas memórias porque você tem um awareness maior, né? Tem um conhecimento maior da sua situação dentro do sistema, né? Então, mais ou menos um resuminho que eu fiz do que ele falou aí. Não sei se você quer acrescentar mais alguma coisa, Gislene.
Não, eu estou prestando atenção em várias coisas aqui para pegar as perguntas do pessoal, acabo não prestando atenção, Caio. É isso mesmo, pelo que eu já li do material dele, né? É isso aí.
Okay, sorry, Aug. Let's carry on. Yes, please. I don't know about your time. Today we didn't ask about your time. If you don't have time or for any reason you have to leave, just let us know. And until this moment, it's a lot of information to digest because it's and even me, because I've been because as understood, all your memories and all information comes to the surface because you experience some things in your life, in your past.
Like I awaken to them, you mean?
Yeah, because my understanding about reality is because of my studies of 30 years comparing data, and some experiences as well I had in terms of other realities as well. But your experience, as far as I understood, you were cloned, as I understood, according to your work, and you just came back to this life with some memories. Am I wrong? Or
that's one method. Let me after this one, I have to turn the stove off downstairs because I remembered there's something from that. I'm fine on time. Whenever you've had enough or you're overwhelmed, that's fine. I'm going to re-listen to all of it. You don't have to translate this unless you want to. I'm going to re-listen to all of this because there are some parts that are actually riddled through here where I didn't get to explain everything, but that's fine as well. And there's probably not going to be any way to go back and remember exactly where there is. I have a lot written down, but I actually gave up on writing most of it down. One of the methods is to pass through death. It's hard to explain. There's a process for passing through the gates of death, basically Hades, Osiris, the underworld, the moon, and to trick the system and get kicked back into the same body. How does that work with the clone? They can get you inserted back into the same body accidentally, and you get all your memories at that point. As well, these are supercomputer systems that can create that entanglement, like you get memories from the other side. Okay, well, they can keep an entanglement once they record your frequency. It's the same thing the system up there uses. Same thing they use to track the soul, these interdimensional parasites. All they did was backwards engineer it and recreate the same process, and now they can track your soul and control where you go. They hack the system.
Can I ask you something? Any system you can hack on Earth, like computers, our technology, do you see any possibility to hack these high-tech civilization system we are inserted?
So apparently no, because they don't do experiments if there's a vulnerability. For instance, if this became so destructive that this whole reality blew up, we all died, and we never made it to the future. It's a safeguard, because then in that future state, we're the ones that went back in the first place. So if we broke it, it means we never went back to begin it with the process and break it in the first place. And this just becomes a projection downloaded on a disk that never had anything to do with that reality at all. The only way it becomes rooted in that reality is if we make it real by actually getting back there and completing the system for real. The only time it's real is when we win the game. And apparently we win it every time. It's just crazier and crazier every time we do it, because we're pushing the limit more and more and more, because it's inherently going to push past where it went last time. And we're at the point now where it can't get any further without breaking the system. So that means that this whole universe is maxed out. We're learning this time around all that there is to learn, and it will never be required again. And the human civilization from there on will go on to the next level. But we can't also take the ego with us, because the ego, when it sees that, it dissolves. When it sees, it has to, when it gets over fear, it has no way of reasoning. When it gets over separation and jealousy and so on, there's no point. It's just the ego is the shadow mind. It's only there when we see separation, when we see the illusion. If the illusion's all gone and there's only pure reality, there's only pure awareness. And so at that point, though, it's kind of, but it also means that we never actually fully complete it, because if once we do fully complete it, we don't exist. So it's a game.
I'm going to ask you a question. Don't take me wrong, but nothing's guaranteed 100%. Certainty doesn't exist as I can see.
Unless certainty or uncertainty is guaranteed.
Uncertainty is guaranteed, yeah. But how can you guarantee yourself? I sometimes ask this myself, according to my experiments and data, the whole thing I've been seeing in this short term of, consider my short life. But how can you guarantee that everything you saw and you came up in your memory could not be a trick from the AI?
So one thing is that the awakening was a few years ago, and I never actually fully forgot. There's plenty of times where I was in school trying to explain these things, and weird stuff goes on. Guys in suits appear, so on and so forth. There's tons of times, and so I always actually had memories. That was a time where they explained everything. And look, this is experiments. Apparently, it's another civilization. Our military linked up with them. When we invented the gateway system of these quantum computers, it enabled a quantum link to them. They began sending information. They explained everything. The only way to know for sure is to absolutely destroy every deception in your way. That's the only way. And the only way you can do that is if you have a group of people assisting in your process. Meaning when you say, prove it. When you say, they show you a being who's the demon or something like that, and you laugh at its face, you try and destroy it, it's causing fear, and you flick it off or something, you tell it to go F off. The only way to know is to test every door and to try and break down every barrier. And you can't do that unless you have help, because like you said, you can try, but you'll always have that semblance of a doubt. Once you get far enough, you won't need to doubt. Meaning once there's more on the line that propels you forward in knowing that you're in control based upon what you've learned, then the maintenance of your knowledge and therefore your control will override that tendency to doubt. Until that point, there's only going to be not a necessity, but a logical assertion of doubt, because why would you not? And so I never believed anything. I made them show me, and they're not faking it, but they could be lying. That civilization could be a fraud. This system could be tricking everyone. That's part of the system. They say, yeah, this the AI that's controlling everybody, and they made it look like there's another. Yeah, that's reality number 2.3. That's right over there. It all exists.
Where is this help could come from, according to your view? I mean, when you say some help can come from somewhere, when you say help, is it related to someone that's outside this control system, this a higher being?
So everything is all of the above, always. Everything is a lie. And then the truth is right outside that lie. It's the one that actually turned out to be real. Every video of the UFOs, all fake. And then the real one is the ones that aren't fake. Everything exists, including the illusions that are secondary to what you need to see in order to find it. And the weird thing is, you have to see all the illusions in order to get to the truth. Because if you just see the truth, you won't believe it. Once you see everything that they could possibly do to fake it, and you realize, oh, I never thought of that, I could have done that. Oh, that's a brilliant trick. It's a brilliant deception. And you see all the possible deceptions that they use, and then you see the truth. That's the only way. And that's so the other aspect of what happens in the bases beyond possible going underground, if that's how certain timelines end up as a post-apocalyptic underground civilization, is that it's hard to describe. The bases merge with different realities. They're different timelines, they're different dimensions. They teleport the consciousness of the individuals in a above ground team, you know, Project Talent, Naomi, Project MK Search. They find individuals, children, who were mentally strong enough, stubborn enough. Mind you, the dark forces, I'll explain that as well. So let me not get ahead. They find individuals that are strong enough, that are sensing enough, and they send them to the bases. These individuals, they test them, they prod them, they find out what's going on with them. They realize these are the individuals from the previous timeline that woke up and caused the system reset because they were first to wake up. So they slow their consciousness down. They make sure they don't jump ahead of the civilization and trip the server system to cause an Armageddon program again. And it's going to get real weird here. And I just kind of lost my place as well. Oh, shit, excuse me. So all they do from there, or to do that, to slow them down, to test, to make them go insane, whatever it is they bring out these interdimensional parasites, and they show them who's running the show. They show them who's eating people. They show them how these vampires live from the absorption of fear and hate off of the human race. And they expose them to that. The people who can handle it are the ones from the previous timeline that regain their memory, that never fell asleep fully. So there's a way to say they're trying to find the people who can help. The dark faction and the people helping, they look exactly the same. You can't tell. And they almost do the same exact things, to the point where then the dark faction does the same thing and they try and make people go insane. And the other aspect is that it amounts to basically how this ends up is that if we fall into delusion and evil, the bad people never have to get in trouble, never have to be held accountable, because the whole universe is evil. If we overcome, then humanity is free. The bad people have to become accountable because there's a standard for what has to be. And it's because we chose to stand behind the truth, to push away deception. If we don't, then who's going to bring anybody to be accountable for their actions? So their goal is to make it so that we give up, because then they never get in trouble, because truly they didn't do anything wrong, in their mind at least. It sets the standard.
So basically, there's the only way out, I understood, from this problematic reality is if you move further into the future and we reach the state they are over there in the hyperdimension, another reality, and we can create a kind of a bridge of understanding between what happened and where they are in the future right now. And this would be the solution for the system, our experiment, let's put it this way, and maybe to wake up the avatar into a different world that is part of a higher being. Am I wrong to say that?
That's the down-to-earth, the direct explanation from what all I was saying.
Yeah, okay, because people, they ask me, how can we break through the system? So I think the only way is to follow, but you say we are reaching the limit in this simulation. So if you're reaching the limit, means can we overcome, or there any barrier that we cannot cross, or there's a limitation, or because you have different versions. According to what I observe as well in my research, there are different versions of simulations. Let's put it this way. And every time something is destroyed, you have another version, another one, another one, another. And the question is, as well, what maybe kind of event leads something so advanced and higher being civilization, another hyper reality, to create something like our world, to understand a perspective of their reality? What kind of event?
Well, to overcome the limit, so basically, it's like we have our mind, and we have the limit, and we have physical reality. If we build up enough potential and our mind hits the limit before we have a society that can sustain that and explain that in the events of reality, the two are going to be at an offset. If we do it at the same time, the two are synchronized, and it means the physical reality and the mental reality come to a close at the same time, and they're at an equilibrium. And sometimes it's described both ways, that if that happens, everything ends forever, or that if there's an offset, then it'll restart the system again because it didn't fully complete both levels simultaneously. And so then, and as well, with everything that we understand, we could be making more confusion or seeing the truth in it. It's on the observer, because some people will listen to this and they won't understand. And so then, as far as so basically, for the most part, again, this is another way, the mind or the spirit and the physicality and technology. A spiritual society has an awakening, and they understand that all reality is some form of projection system, some dreaming, just like this one. A physically or technologically advanced civilization, which is not physical because that's like muscles, but it's mind, but it's not spirit. So it's more mentally logical advanced reality or civilization uses technology and creates a simulation and uses devices to look into time and see that it interacts in far ends of reality, time, and space, just like a computer system would behave. And they see it that way. And so the person who uses advanced technology to create these simulations, these quantum computers, they see reality looking like that. The people who wake up spiritually and see themselves dreaming and can dream themselves into reality find it that way and realize both sides come to the same conclusion, that we're creating reality, that we're dreaming this reality as a kind of perception, a kind of projection system, and that it is here, it's really happening, but there are multiple layers happening simultaneously, and what we see is dependent on what we expect, whether it's through a device or through a spiritual interaction.
Okay, let me explain to
I'll be right back.
Jones. Okay, all right. Basicamente, eu perguntei para ele se, como perguntaram aqui, uma pergunta, se há possibilidade de quebrar esse sistema, sair desse sistema que nós vivemos, essa simulação, e ele falou que não, se a nossa mente não seguir adiante com uma certa evolução junto com a nossa fisicalidade, ou seja, se a nossa realidade física não seguir com a nossa realidade mental, o sistema vai ser resetado, resinalizado e vai começar tudo de novo, uma outra civilização, como várias vezes ocorreram, segundo ele. E aí eu perguntei para ele se dentro desse sistema que nós vivemos, dessa simulação, nesse computador quântico, ele disse, nós estamos inseridos como avatares, se qual evento que talvez levaria uma super civilização numa realidade hiperdimensional, criar um sistema desse para entender algo que ocorreu com isso, o que talvez teria ocorrido para construir um negócio tão complexo e tão sinistro, se realmente for essa a nossa realidade, vivendo dentro de uma simulação quântica. Aí ele me disse que talvez essa civilização, né, no caso, na verdade, cada ser, cada super ser dessa civilização, ele consiga, ele não me explicou realmente o evento que ocorreu, mas consiga entender a situação que ocorre no momento deles lá, através dessa ligação do avatar com o super ser, nessa volta para o futuro, e essa interligação quântica de maneira que você acorde para uma realidade maior e, através das suas experiências que você sofreu dentro da simulação, você traga uma luz para aquilo que está ocorrendo para eles nessa hiperrealidade dimensional maior aí, que existe dentro de uma supercivilização, de uma outra realidade. E, então, basicamente, deve haver uma sincronicidade entre o mental e a fisicalidade nossa para nós atingirmos essa, e voltarmos essa ligação para essa caminhada futurística de encontro com nós mesmos, nosso super ser, vamos assim dizer. Você teria alguma pergunta, Gislene, aí do pessoal?
Não, ainda não, Caio. Tem muitas perguntas do chat, né? Eu não sei o que a gente... é tanta coisa que acontecendo ao mesmo tempo, mas eu acho que você tá fazendo as perguntas mais importantes. As demais eu vou dar uma organizada e eu estou indicando o pessoal para ir lá no meu site, que eu também... O assunto é complexo, né? Então, lá no site Aletheia, já coloquei, a Vera colocou já o link, tem muito material do Aug traduzido, né? E ele aborda com detalhe muitas das coisas que ele está falando aqui, e o livro dele, que eu não conseguia mais traduzir, quase 3 capítulos traduzidos, mas já dá para entender muito desse programa do progenitor, que ele chama, né? E já com que já tem traduzido.
Ok.
Só para avisar o pessoal da bancada que nós temos só mais 5 minutos, porque senão acho que vai ficar pesado para todo mundo.
Ok, all right. Okay, Marcelo Summers said we just almost expired our time in the radio. We just have five minutes more, something like that, because it's going to be exhaustive for all of us as well in our little chat here about our reality. And yeah, we're going to carry on the final moments of our hangout, our interview with Aug. And sorry, Aug, to make so many questions to you tonight, because, you know, I was trying to understand your point of view about our simulation, our reality, the whole thing, and I just extend the time of our interview, and but you know, I think it was very productive, because we are going into details about a lot of things people they are saying around the internet about simulations, living in a matrix, and talking about artificial intelligence and all kind of things like that. And the people, sometimes they get confused a little bit with our technology, thinking our technology is what it really happens behind the veil, but actually it's not based on hardware as we understand here. And for example, my experience with other realities, other simulations I've seen out of my body, or I don't know how you can say, is there are some realities, actually several, that in my view they are simulations as well. And you have different technologies, like you can see computers growing, organisms using as computers, machines borning and getting old and dying as well, and other interesting things. And in 1988, yes, I detected the presence of the artificial intelligence in our reality, doing some experiments, and I found out some funny things about a lot of phenomenology around the world. And it's interesting because sometimes we cannot guarantee 100% this is this or that's that, because according, for example, I can give you an example of quote some scientists like Jacques Vallée. When you are inside of a control system, it's very, very, or even impossible to see outside of it. Do you think is it right, this quote, when you're inserted into a system, a control system, it's almost impossible to see outside of it?
It's the format you use. If the format you use to perceive that system relies on the parameters of that system, then yes, everything you learn and perceive from there will be a part of the system. And as well, if you are a part of the system, if your existence is a part of the system, then you don't exist outside of it. So you can only see that which is within the system. If you are inserted into the system, then you can only exist outside of it. So at some level, at some layer, with some unlocking of the format through a method, okay, to see, of increasing self-awareness, of learning how to observe yourself without using the layer of the system, then you can only see something that's outside the system. Because if you're shutting off the format that's being used, the programming language of that system, then the information is no longer using that that algorithm, that matrix of mathematics and programming commands. You can only be outside of it. What you're referencing is something I talked about in a previous video I made today, is non-local awareness. Self-awareness, self-observation, by definition, must be non-local. It must be outside of the parameter set of what is being observed. Meaning if you're seeing your thoughts, then you are beyond the layer of reality that your thoughts exist within. Otherwise, you couldn't see them at the same time as them happening. You could think them and then afterwards go back and look at what happened. But if you're seeing them as they're occurring, then you're beyond them. There's a difference between reflecting and introspection and seeing them as they occur. The self-aware version of you outside this reality sees, and the program version, the avatar, is what reacts and experiences. The true observational element of you is outside the system. But you have to be in that observational perspective, the seat of the soul, in order to integrate that, which is your true self. And when more you do that, the more your avatar begins to act like a soul instead of like an animal. And that's the dichotomy of man and beast, or human and angelic, physical being and soul.
Just to finalize, final question, do you see a moment of death, a transition moment that you can escape from the system?
Apparently, it's tough to talk about because of the way people will view it. They'll be like, okay, well, let's go die because now the system's over. But for a person to die at their own will, a monk who's sitting there alone in a mountain and he breathes his last breath through choice and says, now is the time I'll leave my body. When you control it, that means the observer aspect on the outside went and pulled out. When it controls the person because something happened or they ate too much of something or they fell over some way, then the reality does it to the person. It means it's all data, it's all information. It means they didn't make the choice, the system made the choice. And so the system was in control, so their experience is a product of the system, of the command code, of the algorithm, what they began far back with certain choices. If you don't make a choice, and the only thing you do is extract yourself from the system because you eat plain food, you conserve all your energy, you don't waste your mind with nonsense, and you become like a saint, a monk. The system has nothing to control you with. It can't keep you here. And eventually, the human race, just like the Armageddon program, if the individual wakes up and makes enough change in the system, they get booted, they get kicked out. It rejects them. And so there's a whole interplay. You can say that. I want to say something else too before I go.
Ok, eu perguntei para ele se no momento de transição da morte, a morte seria esse momento de transição, uma forma de escapismo do sistema. Ele falou que depende. Se você atinge esse estado de morte, como um monge, por exemplo, o monge deixa de respirar porque ele quis ou porque terminou um processo, ele tem um total controle da sua saída do corpo, do seu fim de vida, vamos assim dizer, e não por aquilo que você comeu, alguma doença que te matou, alguma coisa que te levou à morte, mas ao contrário, você atingiu o fim de um processo natural, e você não foi, e foi uma escolha, e não foi escolhido pelo sistema, você sofreu algo do sistema e acabou morrendo. Então aí sim, você é ejetado do sistema, num processo Buda, vamos assim dizer, você é posto para fora, porque você já não faz parte do sistema, porque o sistema não te manipula, vamos assim dizer, não te cria, a escolha não é, você não é escolhido, você escolhe. Quando você atinge esse estado búdico, esse estado de monge, esse estado de ejeção do sistema. Então você é posto para fora, você vai para aquela realidade maior, que eu entendi que é o seu eu, o ente superior, acima do seu avatar. Então existe essa ligação, é o que eu entendi. Okay, so Marcelo or Marcia, someone wants to tell something before we finish the program, because we extended the time now. Alguém quer dizer alguma coisa, Marcelo ou Márcia, alguém, antes da gente terminar o programa, que nós estamos estourando o tempo?
Agradecimentos a todos vocês, e a Marcinha agora vai se pronunciar. Thanks, Aug.
Thanks, Aug. It was very interesting, very interesting. Thank you, Kayo, and Marcelo e Márcia.
Bom, seguinte, deixa eu agradecer a Gislene. A Gislene, sempre quando a gente chama ela, ela está disposta sempre a ajudar a gente, isso é muito bacana. Agradecer o Kayo também. Thank you, Aug, vir sempre na Rádio Mix. Está sempre disposto a esclarecer algumas coisas que a gente precisa entender. Agradecer o pessoal do chat que está aí. Não precisa ficar alvoroçado que aparecer aí na cama sem querer, eu liguei aqui, eu estou bem, bem tranquila no sofá aqui. Agradecer, né? Amanhã a gente tem Kayo Breno do TERRA OCULTA aqui, falando de muitas coisas que a gente também aqui amanhã. Agradecer ao Marcelo Summer também, e agradecer a todos vocês que estão aqui no chat. Muito impaciente às vezes, porque o Kayo está no raciocínio junto com o Aug, e o pessoal fica, e o Kayo não vai traduzir, mas o Kayo sempre traduz e dá tudo certo. Thank you, Aug, obrigado pela audiência de hoje, obrigado, e amanhã a gente está de volta por aqui na Rádio Mix e também no Hangout da Rádio Mix.
Pode passar a palavra ao Aug, por favor, Kayo.
Okay, Aug, so if you want to say some final comment, and everybody thank you for your presence here in the show, and they just say if you have something to add at the end of the program, if you want to leave a message or something, we all thank your presence again in the show here. So it's with you now, Aug.
Thank you all. Thank everyone. Thank you everyone. Thank you for having me. So I hope you can write this down. I'm going to try and wrap up just a few things that were kind of like loose ends. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you very much. And people sometimes they are complaining, okay, it's not translated what Aug is saying all the time, because we have we're in the middle of a thought process, and sometimes it's difficult to stop. When I was asking you and you were saying back, but I explained to them, eu vou falar isso em português, I'm going to talk in Portuguese now. Algumas vezes é difícil eu falar tudo traduzindo simultaneamente, porque a gente está no meio de um raciocínio, e às vezes as pessoas reclamam, então, mas no final sai tudo bem, né? At the end, everything's okay.
Can I say one more thing? Okay, so we talked about a lot, we talked about so much, and it all started with the question about the current shift, the coming shift, and what it means. It's all connected. I could say more, but it's all connected. And so basically a few things. The astral is a technological overlay that will be dissolved along with the illusion system. It's a cyberspace realm populated by interdimensional entities. Cyberspace is hyperspace, is a virtual experience. And 1986 was a harmonic event. 1996 was a beginning of a distortion system, and then 99, 2001, 2010, 2016, and we're being set up for another one now. So free will is in feeling. We have the choice to move into automation and a loss of free will, an integration, merging of our identity with the illusion, which cannot be undone. Like a cloth stitched into another cloth. You can't rip it out, it rips everything. And that's the soul. The soul is the cloth, the garment. This is part of ancient texts, how they call the soul the garment, because it becomes part of a larger system. And then so the free will is through choosing how you feel. When somebody says something to you, when you're in the system, it's how you feel. And if not, then it's the system making you feel a certain way. And so it feels like it was only 5 minutes for me, which is very interesting. And so, do you want to say that real quick?
Ok.
A couple things to say.
Ele falou que tem algumas coisas a dizer, que tudo começou com a pergunta sobre os momentos que vão acontecer agora, né? Que estão se aproximando, que as pessoas ficam perguntando, né? Tudo está correlacionado, ele falou. Então você tem aí momentos da nossa história aí, 1986, 1996, que tudo começou já a degradar, e aí você tem 2012, 2016...
1999, 2000 e 2010 e 2016.
Isso. E agora mais um outro momento que nós vamos passar, né? Então esses foram os 5 minutos mais interessantes que ele achou da coisa toda, né? E nós estamos aí caminhando para um outro momento, né? E é isso aí.
Só tem uma coisa importante que ele sempre fala, que nós podemos escolher mesclar a nossa identidade, né, com essa ilusão, tá, e cair no automatismo, ou escolher o livre-arbítrio, escolher uma identidade que vai além dessa simulação. Isso. Né, Caio?
Isso. Não, basicamente foi isso, né? Basicamente foi isso. Eu esqueci dessa mescla, ou seguir com o automatismo. Na verdade, o automatismo seria o transhumanismo, né? Se você ver bem o transhumanismo.
E também uma falta de consciência, uma falta de vontade de pensar por si mesmo, se deixar levar, né? Não ter responsabilidade e agir com mecanicidade também. Não precisa nem... Isso já é um tipo de transhumanismo, que a gente tem muito no serviço público, né? Aqui em Brasília, propício para isso, mas em todo lugar eu acredito que a pessoa tem essa escolha. Ela pode agir com responsabilidade, pensar por si própria, se responsabilizar por si, ou colocar assim, não, a lei diz isso, então eu vou fazer assim. Porque a minha religião falou tal coisa, então eu vou agir dessa forma. Ou seja, você age baseado em algo que você se automatiza e coloca num terceiro aí, ou num sistema de crenças, a origem da sua ação, né? Ao invés do seu livre-arbítrio, da sua responsabilidade.
Obrigado, Gislene, porque a minha cabeça já está melting. My mind is melting now.
Eu sei. It was very good.
My mind is melting, and not because of the subject, but because translating all the time. Okay, that's it.
It was very good.
Okay, I'll just say one more thing and I'll cut it short. I won't do what I wanted to do. But we'll have another talk, which is,
okay.
Well, so 2 things, which is that there are, like you said, there are basically higher dimensional teams that every person has, that you have a higher self, okay, a version of you outside the system. And then there are teams of people here to help, to assist in the awakening. That's one thing.
Então, existem versões suas, altas versões suas em uma outra realidade, e também existem times aqui que também estão aqui para ajudar dentro dessa realidade. Então, existem esses 2 lados aí, que ele quis colocar, que ele vai falar numa outra oportunidade.
Okay, actually, 2 more things real quick, which is that along with the plan for the dark to make it so that it ends dark, that they don't get in trouble, life can't be enslaved. by definition, life is that which overgrows, which overcomes, which adapts. So just as it's written in these ancient texts, the only possible outcome eventually is that the truth comes out, that the truth is unveiled, that the corruption is exposed, that the people are liberated. That's the only final result. There is no other final result. If it doesn't happen, then that's not the end of this system and the beginning of something new. The true beginning is when it's all revealed.
Então, quando a vida não pode ser escravizada, a verdade dessas obscuridades todas só vão vir à tona quando a corrupção for revelada, a verdadeira verdade for revelada e tudo isso vier à tona. Caso contrário, o sistema vai continuar de uma outra maneira e não vai, vamos assim dizer, acabar, né?
And the last thing is that there are 9 layers to the veil between the consciousness and the soul. There is a fabric of electromagnetic energy, a frequency net of 9 layers of distortions, illusions, deceptions. That's it.
Existem 9 níveis de camadas de distorção entre a alma e nós, e esses são 9 níveis que existem, nos separando daqui da nossa realidade para essa realidade maior.
And they're being removed now, but it's scary a little bit.
They've been removed?
They're in the process for being removed. You can say for somebody who has nothing but joy and nothing but compassion and no fear, then they're gone.
Eles estão no processo de ser removidos para pessoas que têm compaixão, não têm medo, não tem nada, então eles irão embora, esses 9 camadas que nos separam dessa realidade maior para nós.
And so it's like scary for people because they're being shown the darkness. And I'm sorry, because of the training and the events, I have more energy than when I started, as well as coffee, but because my mind is going, and it'll just go I did it for 9 hours one time. So.
Ele falou que está mais energético, tal, com café e tal, mas porque ele veio fazendo isso, e ele já fez isso, sabe, por 9 horas seguidas, uma outra vez, mas é isso aí.
Next month, please. Next month. Okay?
We want to come back next month.
Okay. I'll give you a break. And research everything as well. There's information everywhere, but a lot of it is BS. Anything I could say, don't believe. Research, question, ask questions. I was going to say something about the proof and so on, and how you break the system down to figure it out. Just always ask a question. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the last bit right here, too, because that made the whole thing. I can walk away now feeling like it has a closure.
Okay, thanks, all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aug. Bem, amigos da Remix, vocês puderam observar que chega um momento que a coisa realmente descontrai e aí a conversa vai fluir, mas infelizmente nós temos sempre algumas obrigações a cumprir. Agradecendo ao Aug, a Gislene, muito grato, Gislene, pelo teu trabalho, por tudo que você vem fazendo. Caio, sem palavras para agradecer você, Gislene. Marcinha, muito obrigado. Remix amigos, grato pela paciência de vocês e tenho certeza que algo retornará com as preciosidades das informações que ele sempre traz para nós todos. Muito grato a vocês, tenham todos uma feliz noite e vamos encerrando por aqui.